to Elliott. Oh, bicycle!
The shot, Bedoya with a goal, 1-0 Union.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome into Union Insider. Glad to have you here with us to talk all things Philadelphia Union. As always, I'm Marisa and I'm joined by two of my favorite former boys in blue, Sebastian Letou and Sheanon Williams. Before we get into things, I just want to disclose something with everyone at home. We film this show on Tuesdays. We know the Union have a midweek match against Charlotte on Wednesday that we can't possibly talk about because it hasn't happened yet. So because of that, we are only focusing on the Union's result this past weekend against NYCFC. Philadelphia celebrated Memorial Day with an emphatic 3-1 victory up in Queens against NYCFC. Philly is one of, if not the hottest team in the league right now. They've gotten 16 points in their last 7 matches. I know both of you have very high standards for this club. Sheanon, we'll start with you. How close are the Union playing to what you expected to see from them?
Over the last 4 games, they've really started to kick things into stride. They've got 8 goals for and only 2 against. That really resembles what we saw last year in the Union and scoring a bunch of goals and not giving up as many. So they're doing a good job to find their form now that they're getting into the summer and trying to get a little bit of distance between the guys behind them and trying to put themselves in that upper echelon of the East side.
Yeah, and since the Champions League, stopped for them, I think the team really can just focus on the MLS, and they're being very good playing at 3 in the back. I think it really worked very well for them, scoring lots of goals, being good defensively, and kind of play like the champion of the Eastern Conference they were last year, and I think they really found their rhythm right now.
There was plenty of action this weekend in New York as the Union traveled up to take on their Eastern Conference rival at Citi Field. NYCFC were unbeaten at home in 2023. Well, that was until the Union had something to say about it. Here's how it all went down in Flushing, Queens.
Okay, guys, look, another rivalry game, right? These are the types of games that we all want to play. I'll say it to everyone now. The most important play on fields like this is the next play. We don't settle for ties. We want to win on the road now, okay? This group is too good and too strong, right, to not go on a run now up the Eastern Conference, okay? But it's going to take a fight. It's going to take us making about 20,000 people go silent, and it's not easy.
As Jim said, let's keep going, keep the upset, keep the intensity. That's what we do. We grind teams down, then we play, then we get a result. All right, everybody got to be up for the fight tonight. All right, come on, let's go.
1, 2, 3. Win! NYCFC trying to stay perfect at home. They have never lost a regular season game at Citi Field. Martinez with a poor giveaway. Santi Rodriguez slipping it through. Ledesma touches it along for Pereira. A much-needed goal at home for NYCFC. And some excellent decision-making in the final third. And the Blues draw first blood. Santi Rodriguez, space for Gabby Pereira, already with 1 goal tonight. Pereira, off the bar. But safe to say he can't be happy with this performance.
No, if you just listen, I mean, you can catch some of the words from the crowd mics. It's quicker, right? Bizo, higher, faster. Side to side, not fast enough. How's that touch? Carranza! Sometimes Route 1 is the best route. You can see the back line cheating just a little bit. Carranza recognizes it. Utter class from Julian Carranza. Martinez. A little bit beyond Gazdag. Lua. Carranza again! And just like that, it's 2-1. In the blink of an eye, the Argentine scores a brace. And Philadelphia clawed their way from a 1-0 deficit to a 2-1 lead right before the halftime whistle. Carranza again, gets on the better side of Martins, and that's going to be a penalty. So it is going to be a penalty, and he's going to stick with the yellow card. Gazdag to make it 3 for Philly. And he buries it. Philadelphia pick off in the second half, right where they left off in the first. It is now 3-1 to the visitors, and of course, Daniel Gazdag had to have a say in it. Play again, that will do it from Citi Field. The Philadelphia Union continue to get the better of NYCFC in this fixture. That is now 4 straight wins for the Union.
The last 2 times NYCFC has lost at home, either Yankee Stadium or Citi Field, it's been to the Philadelphia Union. After the match, head coach Jim Curtin said the team is playing good soccer right now, but they're capable of playing even better. Sheanon, where's an area on the field where the Union are good but could be great?
Jim Curtin's definitely made a change in switching the formation and putting them in that back three. That's definitely allowed them to have a little bit more numbers, stay high, and they've done a good job of scoring goals and being creative in that side of the field. I still think that they can get better in the attacking side of things and connecting some of their final third passes and being a little bit more dangerous in front of goal. We've seen them score 8 goals over the last 4 games, like we mentioned before, but I think there's even more to come from them. We've seen Carranza start to kick on. Can Uwa get involved in the goals? Gazdag from the run and play. We know he can score PKs, but there's still more to come from those guys, I think.
Yeah, and I think the thing of they can erase some of the mistake, and we saw the mistake of Martinez, who was costly for the first goal of New York City FC, but then it was a reaction, and I think the teams, they are very good. They don't need to react about having a goal against them. They can play right away from the first minute and put pressure on the team, and you saw the change of tactic from Jim Curtin, who was kind of like sitting back a little bit at the beginning of the game. New York City really took advantage of this and make the team run, find some space. They hit the crossbar right before Carranza equalized. It could have been 2-0, but then they really, got a good reaction, start pressing when they go to get against, and got the 2 nice goals at the end of the first half, who really put them at the level they are, which is the Eastern Conference champion, and we want to see that more for the team.
You want to see that right out the gate instead of waiting for something to happen for them to react.
Yeah, of course you can see that. They're really always reacting. They know they can play, but I think they need to trust themselves about how confident they are right now, especially playing at 3. I think it's a very good system for the team. You can have Wagner, Baizo really pushing forward, and the 3 in front maybe doesn't have as much to do defensively. They're still working hard, but then they can really connect together.
Yankee Stadium, Citi Field are the home arenas for NYCFC. Not the easiest stadiums to play in. You both have had to play within those confines. How difficult really is it to play in such narrow and weird sight lines that those stadiums kind of have?
Yeah, especially on a soccer pitch. You're used to having those big spaces, especially in the wide areas, and those really don't exist on those baseball fields. It's a weird angle. Looking across the field, it's definitely throws you off a little bit of an optical illusion, I think. But they did a good job of dealing with that and making sure that they got the result they needed.
Time now for our first team report presented by Green Mountain Energy. The Union are back at home this weekend with revenge on their mind. Way back in March, the Union traveled north of the border to face a CF Montreal side that was winless and scoreless. Instead of a dominating performance many expected, the Union left Montreal having suffered a 3-2 loss. Here's what head coach Jim Curtin had to say about avenging that loss to Montreal at home on Saturday.
Yeah, it's always important to get 3 points at home. It's also never easy. Every team in our league can get beat. I think we've learned that. Everyone's taking points from each other, especially in the Eastern Conference, and no one's going to lay down. So it's going to be a really hard week. We weren't happy about how the game went in Montreal, so there'll be a little something extra in that one for us too. So there's no easy points in this league, and we need to stay sharp if we want to take all 3. Yeah, he's still working hard to try to make it for the game. Still hasn't joined the group fully, so it's going to be tough. But at the same time, now he is getting better and better. We're a better team when he's healthy, but he's still working to gain full fitness.
If you're anything like me at home, it might be hard to recall what exactly happened back in March in that last meeting between the Union and Montreal. Philly didn't have Andre Blake in net. It was Joe Bendick's first start of the season. Julian Carranza left with a red card late in the second half when the Union were up 2-1, and then the team conceded 2 stoppage time goals to Montreal, left with no points, 3-2 loss. What is going to be the biggest difference this time around in this matchup?
I think it's not taking Montreal that easy. I think it's a game that they should have won when they lost 3-2. We saw that the game was a bit weird, like you say, Carranza getting a red card, playing in a different field, and then getting the late 2 goal for them at the end. But the Union is so much better than Montreal. I think they need to attack this game with the right mentality and make sure they score a quick goal, and then I think everybody will go for them in the right way. But I think it's just not being in their head, believing that it's going to be an easy game, otherwise Montreal take advantage of this and put some problem for the Union.
I think it definitely was a game where it got flipped as soon as Carranza got the red card. I think they were kind of cruising to victory. They get the red card and then they don't see the game out the proper way. We know about the goals that they let up in stoppage time, and I know that they can do a better job about that. They'll shore up some things defensively and look to control the game again against Montreal.
March seems so long ago, at least for this team. So much has changed for the Union. Where has been their biggest area of growth?
I think the fact that they are more confident about themselves and they play at their high level. I think the connect of the passes is a bit better. Defensively, they are better too. I think he was a bit struggling at the beginning of the year, but now it's a different team as well for the Union. And right now they are really, really confident. So hopefully they keep, on this winning streak and get, closer to Cincinnati, because now the goal is, to try to get back on track and maybe get the title again for the Eastern Conference.
They're definitely clicking on all levels right now. Defensively, they've done well to concede or to not concede goals and to get shutouts. On the offensive side, they've been able to connect a few more final third passes. We've seen Carranza really step up and take a huge step forward and carrying the team offensively along with Gazdag and his penalties. So they'll look to continue to do that and try to get some other players involved as well.
You said last time against Montreal they may have underestimated that team a little bit. What do they need to be aware of in this meeting to make sure they get the 3 points?
I think they need to be aware, and Leicester, who are two players who just joined them from Miami. They were not playing the first game, but they bring something different offensively for this team. They are going to probably miss Kyoto, who is injured, so it's a big loss for Montreal. But I think those two players, I think Duke especially, it will be important to know where he's at all time on the field, because he can make some difference for this team.
I think they have some different players that they're adding into their lineup, and they're trying to get things clicking. They're a little bit of a roller coaster right now with 6 wins and 8 losses, so it's really hit or miss for them, and hopefully it'll be a miss this weekend against the Union.
Right, they haven't tied a single game this season, and with that, we wrap up this week's First Team Report. We're stepping away for a bit, but first, let's take a look at This Week in Union History presented by Premier Orthopedics. This week in 2010, the Union won their first road match in club history when they traveled down to Houston and took down the Dynamo 3-2 at Robertson Stadium. Danny Mwanga scored in the 90th minute to secure a Union victory. We're back with Throwback Thursday presented by United Concordia. Back on April 20th, 2019, the Union defeated the then Montreal Impact at home by a score of 3-0. This included goals by Corey Burke, Jamiro Montero, and the captain, Alejandro Bedoya. Welcome back to Union Insider. I'm Marisa Pilla. That's Sebastian Letou and Sheanon Williams. The Union are getting ready to host Montreal this weekend, and we are previewing all the action right here. And it's time now for these two to hand over their keys to the game presented by Subaru. Seba, you're up first.
Yes, and I say that a lot, but keep pressing. I think especially at home, it's a big thing. The team can really put some pressure on the Montreal team right away, show them, what's up right from the minute number 1, not react like we saw the reaction against New York City FC, but they're at their best, especially even when they are doing attack and they lose the ball, the reaction right away, winning the ball back in the half of Montreal will be, I think, a very big thing to put some doubt into the Montreal team, and so that is not going to be an easy game for them, and hopefully we can see a lot of goal coming from the pressure of the team.
Keep up the press. And for you, Sheanon?
My key to the game will be to continue their hot form in front of goal. They've done a really good job to create chances and have multi-goal games and 3 of the last 4. So can they keep up that streak? We know that they're going to be at home. That's where they play their best, especially in front of the home fans. Can they get the crowd involved and get themselves going early in this game?
These two kind of go hand in hand. Keep up the press, get turnovers in good goal-scoring areas, and then finish those opportunities in front of net. Who do you want to see start that press and finish these goals?
I mean, we'll start with Ora Carranza, but I think the fact that you have 2 number 6 now with a team with Flack and Martinez who can really win the ball, anticipating, the short play from Montreal, but at the same time, those second ball, winning by the back 3 will be very important. So I will look at those 2 number 6 for the team to kind of help the team moving forward and winning the ball and playing those 3 guys in front to get the ball in the net.
And we know how strong they are on the counter, so it does really go hand in hand. If they can really do a good job of pressing Montreal and forcing turnovers, they can definitely get in front of the goal and hopefully continue to finish off some of these chances that they're creating.
Let's take a look now at some of the action from around the weekend in MLS in Around the League presented by Torque. Coming on as a sub in the 81st minute, Josie Altidore scored this huge equalizer 2 minutes later to knot the score at 3 and secure a point in a back-and-forth affair with Chicago. And finally, Ivan Franco also came on in the 81st minute for Houston and scored this game winner for the Dynamo over Austin FC in the 87th, picking up a huge 3 points against in-state rival. Up next, a key cog in the midfield for the Union gets the spotlight in this week's player profile as we discuss Leon Floch's solid play in the midfield during the team's recent stretch. Union Insider returns after this. Time for this week's Chick-fil-A Nugget of the Week. Julian Carranza and Daniel Gazdag both scored on Saturday night against NYCFC. Since the start of the 2022 season, no duo has scored in the same match more than their 11 times. Welcome back to Union Insider. I'm Marisa Pilla. Time now for this week's player profile presented by Subaru. The Union have been deploying a 3-5-2 formation as of late, which relies on strong midfield play to be successful. Enter Leon Flack, whose presence has been a big reason why the 3-5-2 has worked over the last few games. What does Flack's role do in terms of everyone else in the midfield for the Union?
I think it gives the other guys a little bit more freedom to be creative, to leave that midfield zone, especially when you know there's going to be Leon Flock in their place and holding for them, so that when the ball does turn over, he can do a good job of winning the ball back. Along with Martinez, I think they've complemented each other very well. It's given Martinez a little bit more freedom. We know Leon likes to stay home a little bit more, so I think the two of them in the midfield have won a ton of balls and have been a huge part of why the Union can counterattack so successfully.
Yeah, and you saw, I think this system as a 3-5-2 for Flack is very good because you know exactly how to play it. Being on the left, sometimes you need to have him a little bit more offensively, and like Sheanon said, I think he gives a lot more freedom to Martinez, who loves to go forward. We saw it against New York City FC. On the second goal, it's him who started the counter-attack, and you can see that he knows that Flack is going to stay for him. He doesn't have to worry about, oh, if I move, who is going to be here for me? But I think for Flack, it was a good reaction because he lost his place to Maglin, on the diamond midfielder. But then when Maglin left for the national team and the team played on 3-5-2, he took back his position and now he's playing very strong and the team is winning. So I think his confidence is getting a bit higher now, and I think his position as more as a number 6 is a better role for him than to be more on the left side of the diamond. So hopefully the team continue winning with him playing his role with Martinez, but I think it's a very, very good position for him and for Martinez to really cover the entire midfield, and doesn't need that much help on the left side.
The Union went to a 3-5-2 for a little bit because of the personnel that was available to them. But now as the results start rolling in, how do you make the case that this shouldn't just be just in case they're missing players? This should be the norm for the Union.
I think it also just gives them the flexibility to have two different systems. When something's not working, they can switch, go to something else, and start to figure out a way to combine and break down teams. I think it just gives them that extra option, and it's a good thing for Jim Curtin to be able to go to in certain games where they might be matched up better in that way, or to go back into their diamond. We know what they can do in the diamond. Now we're seeing what they can do in the back three, and both have been successful. Can they look to continue to add pieces back and to look to see what their best system is going to be moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great help, I think, to have like two systems for the team, because at the beginning of the season, you can see the team were all ready to know the way the Union play, and it was a bit too predictable, like the way they were attacking. We all know the ball is going to get played on the ground to Carranza, who laid back to Gazdag, but the anticipation from the other team was good, the preparation was good, but now playing at 3 in the back or at 4, it's different. So now they have two possibilities, like Sheanon said, of Jim Curtin even switching during the game, which is great, and all the guys are ready for that.
Right, you never want to live and die by one specific formation. As you said, it makes yourself really, really predictable. But going forward, how does this flexibility and versatility bode well for a very long season for the Union?
I think it will test their depth, but they have some players that can play different positions and can also play in that back three as well as in a back four. So I think it's going to be a lot of personnel decisions that are good decisions for Jim to have, and we'll see which formation kind of takes a stronghold on this season and which one is more successful.
We're stepping away one last time, but when we come back, Seba and Sheanon will tell you who they're keeping an eye on this Saturday against Montreal. We're wrapping up this edition of Union Insider on the other side. Starting this year, every Union League match is on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Sign up today to make sure you don't miss a minute of the action. You can also check out the live Whip Around show, MLS 360, or if you missed out on the live, you can relive every moment with full match replays. And get this, if you're a T-Mobile subscriber, you get the whole year of Season Pass content free of charge. Wrapping up things here on Union Insider, and it's time now for our all-state players to watch. Both Seba and Sheanon selected a player to watch for this matchup against Montreal. Seba?
I'm going with Leon Flack. We just talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I think his confidence is very high right now. It's a great position for him to play in a 3-5-2. Hopefully they still play the same way on Saturday against Montreal, and he will be right next to Martinez, and the complementary between those two are very good, and I expect to have another big game from Leon at home, and we all know he's going to run the entire game.
Sheanon?
My player to watch is Carranza. I think he's been in really good form, and just as a defender, watching his movement, it's so hard to track him. He pops up all over the field. He's always in the right spots for not only tap-ins, but to get in behind the defense. So he's a nightmare to mark right now, and I look for his form to continue.
He made some really smart runs against New York, but I can't let these two go without revisiting their picks from last week. Seba, you picked Kai Wagner. Sheanon, you picked Damian Lowe. How would you evaluate your selections from last week?
I think we got two players who did pretty good. We got a win. I think Kai Wagner starting. Yes, the two guys, play very well. I think, for my part, Kai did better, in his delivery from the free kick. That didn't connect, but hopefully he will get. But I think, your guy did a pretty good game defensively.
Yeah, they only gave up 1 goal, so it was a good job defensively. They did a good job to keep it just to 1 and to go from there. So we'll hopefully pick 2 players this week that will have a little bit more of an impact and maybe get on the score sheet as well.
They were solid choices, fellas, but this week, we'll see if you guys get on the end of a goal or maybe assist with these 2 selections. That's going to do it for us. Union hosts Montreal this weekend, 7:30 kick on Apple TV. We'll be back here next Thursday, as always, to chat all about it. Sheanon will be alongside Dave Leno for the radio call on 97.5 The Fanatic. For Seba, Sheanon, and our entire crew, I'm Marisa Pillett. Enjoy your weekend, and thanks for watching.